Prigurvai Varuni Varunam Pitaramupasasara Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti Tasmad Etat Provacha Annam Pranam Chakshu Shrotra Manovachamiti Tagho Vacha Yato va imani bhutani jayante ye na jatani jivanti yat prayantya visam visanti tad vijiknyasasva tad brahmeti satapotapyata satapastaptva. Bhrigu, the well-known son of Varuna, approached his father, Varuna, with the formal request, "O revered sir, teach me Brahman." To him, Varuna said, "Food, prana, that's vital force, eye, ear, mind, speech, these are all the aids to the knowledge of Brahman." To him, Varuna added, "Crave to know well that from which all these beings take birth, that by which they live after being born, and towards which they move and into which they merge. That is Brahman." He practiced concentration. This verse is from the Taittiriya Upanishad, and it's more like a kind of a spoiler alert what the talk is going to be. Yes, the mystical interface of life. It could have also been the mysterious interface of life. It's so good to be alive. Yeah. I mean, people don't appreciate what a precious gift that is. But the moment they will see a centipede, they will shriek and they will try to kill it. Is that life? They have appreciated only life in themselves, not anywhere else. That is the problem in today's world. Life seeks other life to live physically, morally, psychologically, intellectually, aesthetically, and even spiritually. We just can't live in a vacuum. And this interplay of life everywhere, it's amazing. It established itself in the seas, in the land, in the air. Every nook and cranny is teeming with life. This is an amazing planet. The planet Earth, the planet life could have been. Take, for example, there's a kind of a parasitic fungus called cordyceps. It infects insects, weevils, etc. And it hijacks its nervous system, its physiology, everything. It changes its mind, and that's why it's called the zombie parasite. And the insect runs towards the top of the trees. And in the meantime, the fungus completely changes the insect and kills it. And from the insect, it kind of brings out those 2 horns or 3 horns or something like, and then it spores. Life interacting with life. We may think, oh, it's terrible. But that is the play of life. Wherever there's life, there will be also something called the play of life. And we have been trying to understand from the very beginning, what is this life? What is this that enlivens, palpitates, for which I run about, I lie, I steal, I kill, just to kind of protect this life? What is this life? And religions had taken up this question, obviously. We were very religious in the beginning. And they had very narrow worldviews of life. That old worldviews in today's world has become dangerous. It has created conflicts. And one of the reasons why the irrelevance of religious thought is because they have not understood life correctly. If you just take a microscope and peer into a cell, you will see its workings, and you might spend the rest of your life keeping on peering in the cell. The amazing work that's going on there, the life process is there, all without even you knowing it. It's there not only in the human cell. We have to think about, our human cell is kind of great. It's all over. The life, that's the basic unit of life, the cell. And because we have been deliberating on what is life, it's the most studied. In fact, all our actions are all related to life. If you take the dictionary and open it, you can take each and every word, most of the words will be linked to life. Yes, it is central in every activity, in every thought, in every endeavor, in every type of knowledge. We are trying to unravel what is this life. So it is studied, it's deliberated, it's hated, it's loved. It's the whole, you can say, spectrum of meanings we can get. So the first interface with life is, yes, we are individuals and we interact with the other individuals. We interact with the world. And this interaction can be called a kind of interface. So we see that this life that we know now is nothing but a process. It is as ancient as this earth, which is about 4.5 billion years, according to most scientists. And life started about 4 billion years old. It has been evolving gradually. So this is not the end of the process. It's a continuous process. The powers of evolution is pushing us into better and better, you can say, life forms. So it has risen from the earth. It is part of the earth. And the earth itself has been trying to destroy it. Yes, there have been mainly 5 major extinction events. The third one in the end Permian was disastrous because it took 96% of all species, all life. Today, 99% of whatever lived is all extinct. But good news, we are in the 6th extinction event. But this time, it's not the earth that gave life and is trying to extinguish. It's us. We are busy destroying not only each other and not only destroying our lives, but we are busy in destroying the environment. That which gave birth to life is now threatened. Species are threatened, every species, the plants, birds, animals, everything. So human beings with all their ingenious, you can say, intelligence are killing the human species itself and life itself. So this talk, of course, like I said, it could have been mysterious interface of life, but then it's a mystical interface of life, and we need to go a little deeper, because it is only on the level of the mystical can you understand life. Otherwise, life will be nothing but a lump of meat that will that is somehow moving about and it will get extinguished. It has to be some deeper aspect, some deeper meaning to why this life exists. So what's the meaning of mystical? The dictionary says supernatural, supernormal, metaphysical, extrasensory, transcendental, occult, otherworldly. The long list. Like I said, life is related to each and everything. And it's not only related to the words in dictionary. The words address something which exists outside, whether abstract or concrete. So life is intimately connected to each and every object in this world. And that is a great kind of advance in our understanding of life. So this life connected with everything, and along with every long expanse of time. We are the product, like I said, of a long line of evolution. All whatever we have lived, all these millions and millions of years, is embedded in us. All that history is there, written down in the cell. Now, when we interface with life, and life interfaces with this nature outside, sometimes most of the things we really don't know. Take, for instance, the long migratory patterns of birds, or you can say amphibians, or even you can say fishes and all. How do they migrate thousands and thousands and thousands of miles? And we say, they have a kind of a magnetic sense, or their eyes have got those kind of cells that track things. We don't understand this. Most of how we interact with life is just, that's the reason why it's only on the superficial level. We don't know much of it. We are growing in knowledge. And that's the reason why when you bring in the topic of mysticism, it is then that things stand revealed. So we have Vedanta saying we are alive and we have this kind of interaction with this world outside is made of the same stuff that is inside. That's the reason why it's so synced. Take life out from the environment and see what happens. It goes mad. So before we can go into the deeper aspects of mysticism and the interface and all, life also interacts with, on the existential level. Oh, we are so happy and so sad and joyful, and you can say life is suffering and life is grand and life is miserable. Life, all the emotions, we are actually interacting with the emotional contents of our minds. We are not really interacting with nature. And that's the reason why we get kind of blinded by this interface. So pleasure, pain, etc., etc. Sri Ramakrishna also says, we are kind of enmeshed into the interface of lust and greed. This is the interface. And Sri Ramakrishna said we have to disengage from that interface. So if you keep on getting into that lust and greed, Kam and Kanchana, then what happens is you go down to the level of brutes. If you disengage, you are nothing but divine. This is the easy way of engagement and disengagement from them. So these three things, life has to always be embodied. You cannot have a disembodied life. Life also has to be embodied. So we have life always coupled with matter, material. And we also know that life is intelligent. There's no one who will say, oh, life, it's not intelligent. You see this intelligence displayed everywhere. And so these three things, life is as it was sandwiched between matter and mind. In Vedanta, we have something called the Annamaya Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh, and the Manomaya Kosh. So these are the sheaths, the mind sheath, the vital force sheath, and the food sheath. Food in the sense material. So we eat things which have been kind of grown outside. When we eat here, that becomes converted into our body. So that matter is nothing but food. This is, as it were, you can say, really the unit. And all this, the life, the matter, and mind are in a perfectly symbiotic relationship. So, but we have something called life here as well as life everywhere. Swami Vivekananda says that all the matter that you see in this world can be reduced to something called Akash, space. All matter in all its derivatives and all its forms everywhere. And all the forces, whether internal or external, can be resolved into one universal force called prana. So we have Akash and we have prana. And further he says, this Akash and prana itself can be resolved into a higher entity, which is called the mind, the Mahat. So the cosmic mind, as it were, splits into matter and energy or mind. And this whole universe is a play of this cosmic mind, matter, and energy. So the first interface, as you've seen, we interface the individual with the collective. Okay? And we have seen how this is the true basis of morality, of unselfishness. When we interact with people, that is where we practice and we have developed and we can display our ethics and morality, and religion here has a great say. And every religion says, oh, you've got to be good, you've got to be true, you've got to be unselfish, you've got to be, loving and compassionate. Why is that? You're saying, no, because that are great qualities, spiritual qualities. The only problem is they say, oh, you first direct it to God. But if you can direct it towards your brother man, it's very difficult to direct it to God. And that's what this kind of bhakti becomes hideous. Years and years and years we've been struggling to acquire devotion and nothing is happening. It's all sentimentalism. We cannot love people around. That is what Swami Vivekananda, he met a young person, and then that young person is talking about yoga and this and that. And Swamiji says, what do you do? I close the doors, shut the light off, and I practice this yoga. So Swamiji says, you do one thing, my child. You open the doors and windows and go out and see and go interact with people around. This life is intelligent, of course. But the intelligence that displayed in nature is astounding. It has entered in every niche and it has conquered that particular environment. If there was no intelligence there, it would have been impossible for it to conquer this. So there is a basic, you can say, drive to conquer the environment. This environment has given birth to that, and this life is conquering this. So this intelligence is, as it were, the very backbone of life. You take intelligence out, and everything is kaput, as they say. This is the web of life, and we are but nodes in that web. If we can understand that this mighty interconnectedness of life, you don't need anything else. This itself is religion. This itself is spirituality. So we have, from the smallest unit, as we say, the cell, and as we keep on growing and growing and growing, life is nothing but a collection of all these units. And each one, from the very basic level, is intelligent. There was an old theory that, we kind of superimpose our ideas on plants and animals and birds and all, and think that they also behave because the way we behave. It's a kind of reflection of ourselves. Actually, it's every living being has a unique personality. They feel pleasure, they feel pain, they show compassion, they have friends, they communicate. Yes. So these old ideas of only human beings have something called the intelligent life and the rest of life is stupid, sometimes that life makes us feel stupid. Okay. They can maneuver themselves all over, and we need a GPS to just go around a few city blocks. So imagine, so this is the display of intelligence. This is what is life. And we are interacting very intimately with this. Through this intelligence, the world outside. If we can understand we are interacting and interfacing with intelligence outside, it makes for a richer life. Now, when we talk about interface, what is interface? Interface is nothing but two systems, two realities, subjects coming together, interacting. Of course, we can talk about the computer interface. But this interface is when two things come together, each takes on the property of the other, as it were. So we find that this evolution, this earth was made beautiful by what? By life, actually. It is life that actually transformed this red, hot planet into something which is now blue and full of life. It is life that transformed this earth. So life transforms matter? Oh, yes. Because life has that power. As I said, interface means two things come together, interact, and they share those characteristics. So matter itself has become, as it were, alive. Now, whether matter is whether it's a plasma state or superconductivity state, or you can say solid state or the quantum state, life actually interacts with matter on all the levels. It's just amazing. We do not know, we are not aware of it. Our awareness is only on a small bandwidth of, yes, me and my. So when we have this kind of same material here as well as same material there, all life has now become kind of part of my life. Life in its extension, life in its infinite aspects. There is also a research going on if we can understand what is mind. What is mind? And we have located the mind in the brain. And it has left many unanswered questions. It's a kind of a reductionist view of things. But some things like the extended mind, the immune system, the microbiome, the epigenetics, the neurons in the gut, they simply blast this idea of just a mind in the brain. Mind is everywhere. So we have this idea that mind, which is located in the brain, the new research is now trying to understand mind through the processes of life, through biological processes. And that is why this research is taking off. A lot of papers written on this. When we talk about just matter, what's matter? Yeah, this is material. Amazingly, this ordinary material also is found to have some form of memory. We won't go into that lengthy discussion of water has memory. Fire also has memory. And there is also the search for memory in materials. Hair is found to have some form of memory, keratin, that is. Jagdish Chandra Bose had shown that metals also stress and deform, and you remove the deforming pressure out, it bounces back to. So matter also is found to have some form of intelligence and some form of memory. And that is, of course, because matter, life, and mind are in a symbiotic relationship. There is no such thing as only gross matter and the mind separate. There is a kind of a combination. That's why the properties of life are transmitted to matter also. And we know all matter has something called information. This talk is streamed. Yeah, talk is streamed. What do you mean talk is streamed? Yeah, it's talk is streamed. It's like just everything is data. So matter is nothing but information, data. And this is what we are finding, that this machine or brain-body interface, we have either in the body or outside, machines are interfacing with bodies. And they are working wonderfully. It is enhancing life, in fact. And we don't know why these things were kept separate. If materials or matter is completely alien to life, it wouldn't have been interacting, it wouldn't have been interfacing. So we have this matter has some kind of pattern, some kind of intelligence. There is something called the golden ratio. Either it's pronounced phi or phi. The ratio is 1 to 1.618. That's called the golden ratio. And you'll find it in all nature. Everywhere you'll find this golden ratio. In the broccoli, in the cabbage, in the shells, in the human body, everywhere you have this kind of pattern. Who has told nature that this is a pattern that has to be followed? And there's something called the fractals also. Fractal geometry. Swami knows all that. Mandelbrot, he kind of discovered it, that pattern. And this pattern is a kind of a self-replicating pattern. You minimize it or maximize it, it will follow that same pattern. And this, in nature, in matter, which is supposed to be dull and dead and insentient, no. There is something that is transmitting its intelligence and its, you can say, life to ordinary matter. And then when we come to the yoga practices, oh my God, these various spiritual powers called vibhutis or the ashtasiddhis. Oh, I remember when I first read it, I said, am I reading something which is right? It simply dismisses matter as of no consequence at all. Everything is the mind, and the yogi can become omniscient. He has complete power over all of nature. That yogi can reduce himself or herself to a size of an atom, can expand, the yogi can expand the body to a huge size. What's this? Is it mythology? It's not mythology. These are real powers in the yoga philosophy. So Sri Ramakrishna, one time, he tells Swami Vivekananda, you see, I have got all these powers, yogi powers. I want to give them to you. Will you take them? I said, no, I don't want them. Of course, Sri Ramakrishna was very pleased. Swami Vivekananda said, will they help me to realize God? No. But they will help you in a worldly sense. No, I don't want them. So these are these powers. There are the powers. And then matter that we see, it's a kind of a deception. We are seeing this matter here and saying, we're making a big thing out of it. It's not a big thing. It's only 5% or 4.9 or 4.8% something of everything that is in the universe. There's a huge, you can say, area called the dark matter and dark energy, whatever. And that affects matter. What is then matter? Well, matter itself is an illusion. And this itself has been spoken of by many people. Especially the mystics. They have opened up the secrets of nature, the secrets of life, and the secrets of mind by going down to a deeper aspect of these three things. Swamiji says that the universal mind splits itself into these universal forces. So creation actually starts, according to Indian metaphysics, from the mind. It's the mind that creates everything. It's a mind that gives life to things. It's a mind that gives life to matter. And life is transformed through this mind. So mind is an element which was studied in Indian philosophy tremendously. So what is the foundation of mind? You will say, what's the foundation of mind? Well, it is consciousness. This consciousness, you remove that consciousness and everything becomes dead. Fortunately, quantum mechanics especially, now they have brought in the idea of consciousness as central to quantum mechanics. Imagine removing the idea of consciousness from neurology or psychology or anything. Well, there will be no knowledge at all. So that which was considered as fringe, that which was considered, you can say, not relevant to science, now science itself is bringing it back to its... So there is, Swamiji says, it is so central that if I have to know everything, I have to know in and through consciousness. David Bohm, there was a very famous physicist. He's saying that's the non-locality of being. It is connected with everything. It has infinite potential. And these are mainline physicists. So consciousness impels everything. In the Aitri Upanishad, we have the creation of all beings with 2 legs, 4 legs, beings born of womb, of moisture, of eggs, etc., etc. It's being described, everything. And then it ends with, all these are impelled by consciousness. All these have consciousness as the giver of their reality. The universe has consciousness as its eye, and consciousness is its end. Consciousness is Brahman. Prajnanam Brahma. This is one of the great sayings, the Mahavakya in the Upanishad. So it's consciousness. It is consciousness that's pulling it. The Sri Ramakrishna's Vedanta guru, Totapuri, he stayed with Sri Ramakrishna for 11 months, which was very long. He never stayed for more than 3 days in one place. Towards the end, he suffered from terrible colic pain. And he, at one time, he thought, why bother with all this pain? Let's immerse this body into the river and let it go. Knowers of Brahman can do that. He was a knower of Brahman. So one day, in the middle of the night, as he tried to meditate, his mind was dragged down by the body. Enough. He went down to the bank of the river, Ganga, and started wading in the river in order to drown himself. And amazingly, he's saying, Kya Daivi Maya? The water, which generally is 20 or 30 feet deep, is only ankle deep. And he walked almost to the center of the river, middle of the river, and what's that? And the author of the Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga says, something from within pulled the veil over his mind. And he saw Mother, that great reality, in water, jole ma, sthole ma, in land, in water. And he says, he's ecstatic, saying, Mother is the disease, Mother is the body, Mother is the mind, Mother is knowledge, Mother is ignorance, Mother is the sense of I. Nobody can transcend Mother. Mother makes the ye, nay, and the nay, ye. And Mother has everything. This was the realization of Totapuri. We generally have this idea of too much of subjective side of Vedanta, the nirguna aspect, the absolute aspect. And it's kind of easy, try to beat any kind of philosophy or religion or any argument, anything, you can bring in Vedanta and you can dismiss it out. Very easy. And somehow we, for many years, even monks, have been emphasizing, oh, this world, it's an illusion, you see. Oh, the world, it's a dream. And people have kind of swallowed that. But they have forgotten the immanent, the saguna aspect of Brahman, which, through Mother's grace, Totapuri received and made his knowledge complete. This is what is required. We don't want a half kind of knowledge, We have a knowledge. And what? This is the reality here, which is there, palpable. In one of the Upanishads, we have, he who inhabits the earth but is within it, whom the earth does not know, whose body is the earth, and who controls the earth from within. It is the internal ruler, your own immortal self. This is a long passage. It's one of the most sublime passages in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. It's called the Antaryami Brahmana. Yo pritivyam tishtat pritivim naveda pritivi antara pritivim yamayati eshata atma antaryami amrita. And with each element, he's saying that is within earth. Then he said within fire, within water, within mind, within life, within the gods, within the sense organs, everywhere, he speaks about this is the internal ruler within you, which your body does not know, your mind does not know, but who controls the body and the mind from within. This is the internal ruler, your own immortal self. This is that affirmation. This is what Vedanta affirms, that this life and this world is divine. It cannot be otherwise. Without this kind of mystical element, without this idea of consciousness, there's no point in living. Yeah. What's the point in living? Everything ends with death. But no. There is an infinite dimension there within us. And the emphasis on this Ramakrishna Vedanta is this. In this age, Totapuri was brought just to demonstrate that it is this Vedanta will make all philosophies, all rational thought, and even irrational thought, somehow make them kind of intelligible. Nothing is exactly extraneous or wrong in your life. We have been traveling like we have been traveling these long evolutionary pathways to reach up to here. We also have been psychologically traveling long years. We have reached here. Like we have the cultural side of this, machine of technology has driven us so far ahead, more than the, you can say, biological evolution, that humankind now is in a unique position to even tweak other forms of life. And we have been doing this for thousands of years, but now with genetics, we have pushed ourselves ahead. We are right now redesigning life. And this idea that, life is only here, well, for now, you've seen wherever there is matter, there is a possibility of life. It cannot be otherwise. And if we do find life outside this universe, it is going to change us radically. Then some of the religions also will have to kind of re-edit some things that they have said about life only being here. And if we don't find life outside, that also is going to change us. Imagine how unique this life is there. This only thing called life is there in this whole universe. The sense of responsibility will come. The sense of safeguarding and protecting this will come. Every life will be meaningful. And this is what, and we have been trying to seek a kind of a God. Is there life outside? All these searches for life outside. Because life has to interface with life. What forms of life and what kind of unique qualities that we can inherit from that life, that form of life. Because we have been growing because of this life. The Swami Vivekananda, in one place, he says, we have seen that matter and you can say energy are resolved in something called the high kind of mind. And at the background of the mind, there is something called a soul. Is it really so? You say, put a seed in the ground and it becomes a tree. And then that tree goes back into a seed. So the beginning and the end is one. Take the whole universe, say. What do we find? Here we find intelligence displayed. That means there must have been intelligence at the very beginning. Scientists will say, no, intelligence is displayed only towards the end of the evolution. There's no end of evolution, something called. So he says there's something called evolution and involution. The beginning and the end are one. So if we see intelligence here, intelligence must have been there in the very beginning. And Swami Vivekananda says, it is that intelligence which is slowly uncoiling itself through millions and millions and millions of years. What is that intelligence? That intelligence is called God. Well, and in the individual body, that is called the individual soul. And the individual soul and individual God, there is an eternal relationship between the eternal soul and eternal God. This universe is in a way eternal. Why? Because in Vedanta we have something called God projects this universe, Ishvara, out of itself. Amazingly, yeah. You cannot have creation separate from God. It's called Upadhana and Nimitta Karan. Upadhana is the material cause of this universe is God. The instrumental cause, the life and the intelligence in this universe is God. So it's Upadhana and Nimitta Karan. This is one of the central doctrines in Vedanta. And here we have, it is as it were, God is uncoiling itself or herself. There's no kind of gender out there. This is what. So when we come, this is what it is. But how do we actualize it? That is the problem. Yeah, the philosophy is nice. You've been listening to me and I've been listening to myself also and kind of is good. Yeah. The problem is how, we have devotees here say, but how do we get into that thing? That is the problem now. In one of the Vespers hymns of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda says about Sri Ramakrishna as, his body is the body of consciousness, Chid Ghana Kai. Kai is a body, Chid Ghana, condensed consciousness. This whole universe, as it were, is kind of intelligence or infinity and love and life and everything is, as it were, condensed into the form of Ramakrishna. Yeah, so here he is. Ramakrishna is that condensed form of universe. And that is what is called an avatar. And incarnation means this. Now you say, oh, this Ramakrishna is everywhere. Yes, and that Ramakrishna is also there within you. Vaikuntanath Sanyal, when Sri Ramakrishna touched him on the 1st of January, in the Kalpataru day, he saw Sri Ramakrishna everywhere, in the sky, in the earth, and everywhere. He just saw Ramakrishna, Ramakrishna, Ramakrishna. And after 3 days, he said, I'll go mad. He wasn't ready for it. And then Sri Ramakrishna withdrew that vision of it. So we have this whole, you can say, existence. Existence of what? It is nothing but that of Ishvara, of God. And we are interfacing, interacting always with God. And that is what the whole secret is, the mysterious interface of life, a mystical interface of life. We don't realize that we are interacting with ourselves, with that higher self. And as this slowly dawns into our mind, you will understand that Ramakrishna, that essence of consciousness which has appeared to us, to lead us beyond just the kind of play of matter and mind and life, which is on the fringe, and come back to the core. As the Upanishads say, he who controls you from within, he is your own immortal self. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. Yeah, we can. After the music. Yeah, we can take a few questions after Swami Atmavid plays us some music. We have...
No questions yet. In the meantime, we can announce the next.
Yeah, there.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there.
What is the meaning of interface? You kept using that.
Yeah. Interface is the kind of interaction between two entities or two subjects or two realities. When they meet, they work, the one side takes on the aspects or the qualities of the other. Okay?
So, Vaikuntanath saw Ramakrishna everywhere. And so would that be him also witnessing evolution and involution simultaneously?
It goes beyond that. The realization is beyond evolution and involution. So he is seeing the very basis of that tree. You remember that Urdhva Mula, that the tree with its roots up and its branches below? That's a mystical kind of realization. So we do have some announcements. 12:30, after this, it's just almost 12 o'clock, 12:30, we have something called Agamani Gan, Agamani songs. These are songs to the Divine Mother Durga. Traditionally they commence after Mahalaya. So after Mahalaya, today we have Joyita Bose Mandal and her team singing these.
Actually, it's Chandi. They're chanting Chandi and singing Chandi.
They are singing Chandi. So they will be singing the Chandi songs for us at 12:30 for about 1.5 hours. And it will be live streamed. So please tune in. They are wonderful songs there. Next Sunday, we have Swami Sarvapriyananda. You know, he's a kind of a rock star on the YouTube. So he's going to speak on my experiences at Harvard University. He was there. He studied divinity for 1 year. So he will speak on his experiences there at Harvard. Tuesdays, of course, we have Swami Sarvadevananda speaking on the Narad Bhakti Sutra and 4:30, and Nectar of Non-Dual Knowledge at 7:30. Wednesday mornings, there is a Kato Upanishad at 10:30 a.m. And in the 7:30, we have the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. On Thursdays, we have the Gita, Bhagavad Gita, at 7:30 again. And also Friday, we have Living Wisdom given by Swami Atma Tattvananda and Atma Vidyananda.
And we do have some questions now. There's also a complaint that they can't hear the questions.
Oh,
That's okay. All right. First question from E2. How does one find a teacher, a guru?
no, you got to understand this very clearly. You've been reading books like, what is that? A monk who sold his Ferrari and etc. and ran away and tried to search a guru. The guru seeks you. Get this straight. It is the guru that seeks the disciple. The guru does not seek the disciple. So, keep yourself in readiness, keep yourself in prayer, and the guru will come to you.
Question from Akshay. What carries forward after death?
You carry forward after death. What is that? Yes, your personality is not extinguished at death. Death is nothing but a kind of a change of garments. Like the Bhagavad Gita says, Vasanse jirnani yata vihaya. It's like you change your clothes. Death is something like that. Don't take death so seriously. I don't know why you have demonized death and made it such a big thing. Don't take it so seriously. You survive and you carry forward whatever you've been doing. That's the idea.
Lara asks, I think that's Swami, what will help me see that the Creator and creation are one?
Now can you see yourself as one with your mind and a body? Yeah? Okay. Now that you know that life has to be embodied, and that very creator has come down in the form of an incarnation. And the various incarnations that we have all through human history have been nothing but incarnations that of you can say, of the creator of God, that are leading us slowly towards that higher aspect of oneness between the God and his creation. So you start loving God, and that you start by loving your own self, not loving your body. There are people who hate their body, people hate their minds, some people hate their thoughts, and they hate. We don't really understand how precious and how divine this life is. Start loving yourself. And as you keep on loving yourself, you will start loving the Creator. That's it.
Tina asks, what to do during meditation when the questions of inquiry, like who is that is seeing the thought, becomes the problem and the silence is not there?
Oh, you've been misled by your own mind. Don't worry. You've picked up certain things, and now you are now trying to disentangle yourself from the This comes at a very high stage where you can disassociate yourself from the mind and even from your ego. So the best way is to meditate by focusing your mind on an object. And that's what Sri Ramakrishna recommends. You focus, this people say, oh, that's very difficult. That is the way. We are trying to disengage ourselves from the mind, but we are actually meditating on the various peculiarities and various, you can say, thoughts in the mind. And mainly we are meditating on the body. Your back is aching, your leg is tingling, your arm has gone numb. You're actually meditating on your body. Or, if you're a little better, you start meditating on your old thoughts, on your subconscious mind. So the idea is to have an object where you can focus. And as you keep on focusing, that your consciousness of your body and your mind disappears. And that is the first step in understanding how to disassociate ourselves from I, the pure I, that is not the ego, that the consciousness which is beyond even your individuality. That comes at a much later. So start with this. Don't make that philosophical quibble. Oh, I'm the witness of this body, I'm the witness of this mind. Yeah, you better kind of control this body and control this mind first.
Deva Brother asks, in scripture it is said that there should be no desire, but for basic survival there needs to be desire. Then why not desire for higher career, higher things? How to overcome this contradiction?
Oh, which scripture are you reading? You can tell me. You could tell every one of us. It's scripture. And suddenly there are some people who say, the Bhagavad Gita says, some of these guys have not even opened the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita. Who said the career is not important? Who said this kind of desire is not important? You have a career. Did religion ever tell you that career is bad? No. So why are you trying to say that desire is bad? Yes, If you want to become a monk, that's a different question altogether. You can come over. We have no problem. But all our desires are converted into higher and higher aspects of devotion. That's you can see redirect our desire. So if Holy Mother says a slight desire remains in the body, otherwise the body cannot last. It will simply collapse. The desire for food and water and all these things are, but these are lower desires. Finish off them. Become a great careerist. Let's see how much big career you can have. There are many people who had these dreams. So finish off all your desires. But know that these are all lower desires. When you finish them, then the higher desires will come. When you want to know what is existence, what is knowledge, what is bliss, what is God. So do it. Nobody is stopping you. No scripture is forbidding you. And anyway, even if the scriptures forbid, we all do all the forbidden things also.
That's it.
Om.
One more. There's an objection to your last statement. But lust, greed, and anger are the gateways to hell. Can you be focused on a career without greed? How? Laughing out loud.
Oh, you can focus on career. Did anyone, the scripture tell you that you got to be untruthful? That you have to lie and steal and kill for your career? No. Do that. So, to have a career, you don't have to have lust and greed and anger, which is the Trividam Narakasyedam Dwaram Nashem Atma. That is those who don't have a career, they will go down there. So have a career, base your life on truth. These things do not interfere at all.
Mark asks, what does it mean when it is said that Vedanta is a Purushaya Jnana, not from a person?
Yes, because it is nothing but revealed knowledge. It is not, there's no author. Like you have people saying, oh, the Bible started, the New Testament with Jesus Christ and Moses and this and that and Muhammad. And we have various, you can say, religions started by its founders. Okay, Buddha, anything. In the Vedanta, in the Upanishads, this Vedanta, the whole Veda is apaurushaya because it is not, you can say, there's no founder of a particular, you can say, branch of knowledge. These mantras, this knowledge was revealed in the hearts of the sages. That's why they are called rishis, the seer of mantras. So this knowledge belongs to, it is the mind of God. And the mind of God is there everywhere. If we can make ourselves perfectly pure, we can see this mind of God, that knowledge that is there within. That's why it's called apaurushaya. So many religions stand on the prophets, not Hinduism. We don't have any prophets. We have many incarnations. And even if you remove all the Ramas and the Krishnas and the Ramakrishna, everything, the religion will remain. That is what is Vedanta. It depends on the knowledge itself. You don't say from where it has come. See that knowledge. It is. So that's the reason why it's called apaurushaya. Okay.
That's many expressions of gratitude for your talk. And I will remind those who are interested that at 12:30 we will be streaming the Mahalaya program, the musical program.
Atmatvam girijamati sahachara prana shariram griham pujate vishayopabhoga rachana Nidra samadhi sthiti. Sanchara padayo pradakshina vide stotrani sarva giro. Yad yad karma karo mitat tadakilam shambho tavaradanam. O Shiva, you are my Atman. The Divine Mother is my mind. My breath are your companions. My body is your temple. Whatever objects I enjoy is your puja. My sleep is samadhi. When I walk, I circumambulate you. My speech is your praise. Whatever I do, all that, O Shambho, is your worship. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.